So, what we're going to do today is we're going to try to make Tic Tac Toe player versus artificial intelligence. And it's going to be the easy artificial intelligence. So, I'll launch Visual Basic. And let's take a look at some of the first things that we need to do. So one of the first things I need to do is I need to make a game mode. So I'm going to create a variable called game mode. And I guess maybe I should back up here. Maybe the first thing before I even have a variable, perhaps what I need to do is have in the menu system, I want to make it so I've got file, player mode, and I've got player versus player, which can be checked, player versus computer, and player versus computer hard. So I've got 3 different play modes. Okay, so then in my variable, I'm going to make a variable called game mode, and it's going to be an integer. Because I've got more than 2, I didn't make a Boolean, and I made a constant variable. And that's just so it reads more like English, and it's easier to understand, but as you can see here, it's not that complicated. So I said player versus player, let's say that's mode 1, or value 1. Player versus an easy AI, let's say that's value 2, and player versus hard AI, let's say that's value 3. And then I make a global variable called game mode, and it's going to equal, by default, player versus player. So let me go to my thing here, and I'll go to player versus computer hard AI. And here we go to the subroutine, player versus computer hard toolstrip menu, and I'm going to say game mode is equal to that constant player versus hard AI. Or I could have said a value of 3, but it's easier when I have a constant because it reads like English. So the game mode is player versus hard AI. And then what I want to do is I want to make all of the toolstrip menus false. So I want to make the player versus player checked to be false. I want player versus computer easy AI menu to be false, and I want player versus hard toolstrip menu item, I want that one to be true. And if I selected a different mode, I would want it to be false. So I need to make sure I've got those set. And so let me just test that out when I press, oops. Oh, sorry, dot checked. I didn't even see I didn't type that. Whoops, sorry. So dot checked. So player versus computer hard toolstrip menu item checked is now true. So let me just press play, and you'll see that when I go file and player mode, if I select hard AI, it now player mode's got a check mark by hard. If I go player versus player, that's the game mode is on that, and player versus computer easy AI, it's selected on that. Okay, so that's the first thing I needed to do. The second thing I need to do is make a subroutine for easy AI player. Okay, so if the easy AI player makes a turn, I want to make a subroutine. So what I'm going to do here is just at the top where I've got my subs, I'm going to make another sub called easy AI play. Okay, and so I'll make the sub, and I won't really code anything yet, but I'll say private sub easy AI how to play. Okay, one of the last things I need to do is make a game over, because I want to make Easy AI play as long as it's their turn, and I want Easy AI to play if we're in that mode to keep playing. But if the game's over, I don't want Easy AI to keep trying to play, because once the game's over, X is won. I don't want to say, great, let's put an O here, because no, it's too late. The X has already won. And same thing if there's a tie, I don't want Easy AI to keep trying to play. So I need a game over variable, and that's going to be Boolean. And notice when I start the game, it's game over is not over. And so let's go to the win routine, and we need to add that to the win routine. So in the win routine, let's go through and just take a look. So in the check win, what I need to do is if there's a win and the game is over, I need to say here that game over is true. Okay, so if the game's over, the game's over. So if there's a win because of button 1, 2, and 3 are pressed, and the game's over, I want game over to be true. So same thing, if in this case 4, 5, and 6 are played and the game over is over, I need to fix that. Same with if button, this other way for game over, great. I need to make a game over. And if game's over because 1, 4, and 7, or the other diagonal, or no, these are verticals. And then the diagonals, same thing. So if any of the game over is over, it's over. Or if it's a tie game, I make it true. Excuse me. So if the game's over, we need to set the game over. Now when we play a new game, so I need to go to the start button. So where's starts? Start game. So when we start the game, the other thing I need to do is I need to say game over is now false, because we're starting a new game. Okay, last thing we need to do. So let's go back to looking here at what happens. So which game mode are we in? If we're in player versus player, it's working great. X plays and O's plays, and X plays and O's plays. If it's player versus Easy Eye, X is going to play, and then it's going to say, oh, is it the player's turn? And it'll be no if it's AI. So what I want to do, if it's AI, I want to run AI, and then I'll go back to its player X's turn. Okay, so in each button, what I want to do is I want to call Easy AI's turn to play. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's go to button number 1. So button number 1, what we do is if player X's turn, we place an X, and we say it's player O's turn. But if it's not player O's turn, we place an O. And so if O is playing, or if it's not player X's turn, O's going to play. And we swap the turns. We make the button disabled, and we check to see if either X or O won. Now, if it's Easy AI mode, O is not going to ever get a chance to play. So what I do is I say in the if statement here that if the game mode is Easy AI, and it's not a game over, and the game's not over, then what I want to do is Easy AI is going to take a turn. So what is the Easy AI turn going to be? Well, it's going to place an O somewhere. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more hard, and I'll make another video to explain how Easy AI is going to randomly go. But for now, to test this subroutine, let's see what Easy AI needs to do. So what Easy AI is going to need to do is the following. Because the Easy AI always plays O, we need to turn the player turn back to X. So we say, let's say X gets to play now. And then the next thing we need to do is, I know Easy AI is playing because the game's not over yet. We need to randomly place an O, and we need to check to see if O wins. But just to test it, before I do this, what I'm going to have Easy AI do is we could randomly place an O. Let's say we could say button number 4 dot text equals O, and I'm just randomly choosing one. We're going to change this afterwards, and I'll say button 4.enabled is false. And so we can just see if this is going to work by randomly coming up with this. So let's hit play. I'm going to turn the game mode into player versus easy AI. I'm going to hit start game. I'm going to place an X. O is placed there at right here. And now if I click here, X, and then easy AI would have been called, and so forth, and there you have it. So it looks like it works. Next video I'm going to make is, instead of saying it's going to place it in button 4, is to say it's going to randomly place it in a free one, and I'll show you how to do that next.